There's a twig selling out on TikTok Shop right now. Not a supplement, not a gadget, a stick. People are filming themselves using it for 30 days straight, swearing off toothpaste completely, posting their results like it's some kind of breakthrough. And in the comments, the same question keeps showing up over and over. Why did nobody tell me about this sooner? Here's the thing they don't realize. This discovery isn't new. It's not even close to new. It's something people across an entire continent have been doing every single morning for longer than toothpaste has existed as a product. Long before there was a brand name, before there was a shopping cart link, before anyone called it a biohack, there was just a tree and a hand and a habit passed down without a single instruction manual. So let me ask you something before we go further. If a random tree branch could genuinely clean your teeth better than the toothbrush sitting in your bathroom right now, would you even believe it? Keep that answer in your head, because by the end of this, you might change it. Across Africa, there isn't just one version of this stick. There are hundreds. In Nigeria, the Yoruba call it Pako, cut most often from neem or guava branches. In Ghana, it's carved from a tree called Sokodua. Across West Africa, people snap it from orange and lime trees growing in their own backyards. And in East Africa, researchers have counted close to 300 different tree and shrub species used to make chewing sticks. 300! Across just one region of the continent. This was never one tradition handed down from one place. It was reinvented, tree by tree, village by village, for generations. Every region figured out on its own which bark, which root, which branch worked best for their teeth, their water, their soil. No laboratories, no dental schools, just generations of trial and observation quietly passed from a mother's hands to a child's hand. But what most people don't realize is that the version now going viral online, the one wrapped in little packages sold as Miswak, is just one branch of a much older tree. Literally and figuratively. Miswak comes specifically from a plant called Salvadora persica, sometimes nicknamed the toothbrush tree. It grows across the Middle East, South Asia, and much of Africa. It's the same practice, the same instinct, just under a different name and a different marketing budget. And this isn't even a recent crossover. Historians who study the origins of dental care point to twig-based tooth cleaning going back thousands of years, to ancient Babylon, to ancient Egypt, long before the toothbrush as we know it was ever invented in Europe. In fact, for a long stretch of history, it was Europe that eventually walked away from the stick, not Africa. And here's where it gets interesting. This isn't folklore dressed up as health advice. Scientists have actually studied it. The World Health Organization has gone on record recommending chewing sticks as an effective oral hygiene tool. Not harmless, effective. A clinical trial out of Kuwait University put this to the test directly. Researchers split volunteers into two groups, tracking plaque, gum inflammation, and bacteria levels over 4 weeks, switching each group between a toothbrush alone and a toothbrush combined with a chewing stick. The result? Gum health and plaque control improved when the stick was added to the routine. But this raises a much deeper question. Is it the wood itself doing the work, or is something else entirely? Researchers looked into that too. One study compared a chemically active version of the stick against one that had all its natural compounds stripped away. The two performed almost identically, which tells scientists something surprising. A huge part of the benefit isn't some magic ingredient at all. It's the simple mechanical act of chewing and scrubbing over and over for minutes at a time. Something your toothbrush, used for a rushed 90 seconds twice a day, can't fully replicate. That doesn't mean there's nothing chemical happening. Scientists have identified a compound inside these sticks called benzyl isothianate, or BITC, shown to aggressively kill specific bacteria linked to gum disease, including some of the exact bacterial strains dentists associate with serious periodontal damage. Chewing also increases saliva production, and saliva is loaded with calcium and phosphate, minerals your enamel needs to repair itself. Researchers comparing chewing stick users to toothbrush users found higher levels of exactly these minerals in the saliva of chewing stick users. Some of these sticks even carry small amounts of natural fluoride, the same ingredient added deliberately to almost every toothpaste on the market today. Dental researchers have even experimented with soaking the stick in a mild fluoride solution, specifically to treat early white spots forming on teeth, meaning, in some cases, the old-fashioned stick was doing quietly what modern toothpaste was designed to do on purpose. And then there's a detail that almost sounds too neat to be true. A study out of Zanzibar found that tooth decay rates were higher in urban areas where people had switched to toothbrushes and toothpaste than in rural areas where the traditional chewing stick was still the norm. Now, that's not proof the stick alone caused the difference. Diet, sugar access, and water quality all shift between cities and villages too. But it's the kind of finding that makes a researcher sit up and ask more questions, not fewer. So, why did an entire continent walk away from something that was working? The honest answer is complicated, and it's not really about science at all. Toothpaste arrived wrapped in convenience, in branding, in the idea of modernity itself. And once something gets coded as backward, it doesn't matter how well it actually works, people quietly stop using it, sometimes even discouraging their own children from picking it back up. A whole generation grew up hearing that the stick their grandparents trusted was something to be embarrassed by, not because anyone proved it didn't work, but because it didn't look like progress. Which makes what's happening online right now genuinely strange to watch. The same practice, repackaged, filmed by creators who in many cases have no connection to where it actually comes from, is being framed as a brand new biohack. Dentists are filming reaction videos, wellness influencers are doing 30-day challenges, shops are selling 10-packs, branding it with sleek names that sound nothing like Pako or Sokodua, and comment sections are full of people saying, "Why didn't I know about this?" as if it hadn't been sitting in plain sight the entire time, in someone's grandmother's kitchen, in someone's village market. Here's what nobody can fully answer yet. Is this trend going to fade the way most TikTok health fads do within a few months? Or is it actually pulling something real and overlooked back into daily use for good, just under a new name? And if it does stick around, who ends up getting credit for it? The people who used it quietly for generations, or the platform that made it trend?
What we do know is this: the tree was never lost. The knowledge was never lost. What disappeared for a while was the confidence to say this was worth keeping. And now, somewhere between a viral video and a dental research paper, that confidence is quietly making its way back. So maybe the real question isn't why the world suddenly cares about a stick. Maybe it's why it took the world this long to notice something that was never actually gone.